Right now, I am joined by the chairman of the Nebraska Ethanol Board, as well as a member of the National Corn Growers Association, and literally anything ethanol. Jan tenBensel, you are in Washington, D.C. Thank you for giving me a couple minutes.
Well, thanks for having me tonight, Chris.
So I reached out to you because a little earlier today, you had some signs in your hand, and you were out there in Washington D.C. talking about E15. Tell me about your day, and then I'm going to get to the news that gets tied in with what you were doing.
Well, Chris, yesterday the National Corn Board did an emergency call to its board members to get to Washington, D.C. as quickly as you could. Fortunately, I was in Virginia at a leadership conference and zipped right up with some fellow Nebraskans and some fellow corn growers. And we began dropping into different legislators' offices randomly by assignment, et cetera, stressing the importance to get E15 into the current legislation that's passing through Congress right now.
So where do we think that that's going to be at? I was reading some Politico stuff as far as where things stand right now with that minibus bill. That there's obviously the push that you're pushing for is to get it included in there, I would have to assume. And then there's some thought that it may not, but there may be promises made. What are you hearing?
Absolutely. We're pushing for that to be included in the current funding bill in the minibus, as you say. And we will be 100% satisfied that it's in the bill once it's passed both houses of Congress. And the importance for that is we can't wait. We cannot. We've been working on this for 7 years. The EPA approved E15 in May of 2019. The testing and basic EPA approval was finished in 2011. We've been 7 years sitting here waiting to finish for year-round E15 for some bureaucratic market limiting reasons. And by not having access to that market, when we have the corn crops that we grow so well, we just don't have anywhere to go with them. And by increasing the corn grind, increasing the ethanol usage, it checks all the boxes. It's a win all around. It's a win for consumers. It's a win for farmers. It's a win for the rural economy. And it's a domestic fuel source, which goes right in with the president's energy policy.
And we've talked about this multiple times. The idea is not to force anyone to use E15. It would be just to make it available. Is that correct?
Absolutely. It's basically a market access for the product. There is no E15 requirement, mandate, etc. You don't have to use it. If you want to use it, it would be available to use if your retailer had it on hand, etc. Most retailers that have put in E15 have found it to be very customer driven. It brings in customers, increases inside sales. There have been 100 billion miles driven on E15 with no issues whatsoever. It's not a scientific reason. It's a bureaucratic reason that we are limited on this marketplace.
The stuff with the bill for this week, the push to get it into that spending measure, the stuff that I'm reading, and again, I'm just sitting at a computer reading this stuff from Nebraska, is that the Midwest lawmakers and the group of like yourself are obviously pushing to get that in there. Some in leadership and GOP leadership are maybe not sure whether or not they want to put it into this particular bill. Do you see what the holdup is? Is there explanation to you or your folks as to why it might not get in?
Well, there's always an attempt to kick the can down the road. There's always a desire to have a clean bill with no riders, no extra legislation. Unfortunately, no legislation is moving unless it's attached to a must-pass legislation. In that situation, this is a must-pass legislation. We need this for the Midwest. We need this for all farmers all over the country. No matter what crop you're growing, a rising tide does lift all ships. And we need this now. And the reason we were here mostly was to stress that with different lawmakers and make sure that we were able to get the message out that it's time for E15 now.
So the feeling, do you get the feeling that this is going to be productive, that it's going to get done? Is that the vibe down there in DC right now?
We've sure had a lot of great comments, and and comments and that, and $2 will buy a cup of coffee, of course. But um, we've had some great reaction. We had a lot of legislatures come and visit with us while we were uh, demonstrating about the E15. We stood by the Capitol, and as lawmakers came in to vote on some of the voting issues this afternoon, we were able to visit with them. We were able to see our displays. We just had a really good, solid day. And the National Corn Growers Association was really standing up for its members in all aspects of market development. And, we just have to do this. And this isn't a normal thing for us. This is the first time, from my understanding, that the corn growers has done this. But it was time to start showing guys that, hey, we're really serious here, and this is needed in the farm economy. This is needed in the rural America. We just have to do this now.
And the timing is very interesting for me as an outsider because while the president is currently in Switzerland doing his thing over there, word is he'll be in Iowa on Tuesday of next week talking energy, economy, stuff like that. So the timing couldn't be any better, I would assume, for corn growers and for folks that want to get this E15 stuff pushed through.
Absolutely. Hopefully, when the president's in Iowa, he'll have some good news to share with about the progress of the current legislation. And right now, of course, the continuing resolution must pass by the end of this month to fund the government. The Senate is out of session right now, and as we get this through the House, then it will move through the Senate, and hopefully the Senate will be of the correct mood and flavor to go ahead and pass this CR with the E15 legislation attached to it.
Before I let you go, Jan, one other thing. So on your posts on Facebook and Twitter with the pictures of the you guys holding signs up, whether it's the street corners there in DC or as lawmakers are coming into the Capitol, one of the things I think you mentioned was you're kind of trying to set an example for others because specifically farmers in the Midwest, what are you willing to do to try to save your farm or other folks' farms? Is that kind of also a second message you're trying to get out there to try to make sure folks in the agricultural world know, hey, we need to work to save ourselves type of thing?
Absolutely. We were here today. We were professional. We were courteous and respectful. We don't know all the rules, of course, so we're finding out as we go along. But we felt like we gave a good image today of farmers that are trying to get a message across. And, this is good for all commodities. All commodities need to work together. All farmers need to work together. The saying that I had today was, when your grandkids ask, what did you do to save your farm or your community? Well, what are you going to tell them? You have to tell them that you've done something. You have to make an effort because the farm you save by doing this, it might be your own. It might be your own business you save. We have to rely on ourselves. We have the ability to use our own products here, locally, domestically, and that's a win-win for everybody. That's a win for downtown Main Street. That's a win for the farm. That's a win for the city. Our urban friends, everyone is a win on this thing. We just have to go forward together and work together and make it work.
Jan tenBensel out there in Washington, D.C., supporting ethanol and corn with the National Corn Growers, as well as the chairman of the Nebraska Ethanol Board. Jan, thank you again for giving us a few minutes.
Well, thank you very much, Chris. And remember, use E15 every time you get the chance.